Hamas is a nationalist and Islamist Palestinian movement. Hamas originated from the Muslim Brothers. Muslim Brother movements, which originated in Egypt from 1928, established branches in mandatory Palestine already in 1946, and later Muslim Brothers established branches after 1948 in the Gaza Strip and in the West Bank. The Muslim Brothers had always maintained an anti-Semitic ideology, but after 1948, the Muslim Brothers believed that the very existence of Israel is not the source of the problem of the Muslim world, but simply a manifestation of a much deeper problem of the Muslim world straying away from Islam. Therefore, the Muslim Brothers preached that first Muslims have to go back to Islam, and once they go back to Islam, they will be able to eliminate Israel. So it postponed the struggle against Israel to as a second priority after restoring Islam to the Muslim world. Since the early 1980s, we began to see radicalization among some Palestinian Islamists. It started with Dr. Fathi Shkaki, who had been an activist of the Muslim Brothers, who split from the Muslim Brothers after the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan because he believed the Muslim Brothers' perception of postponing the struggle against Israel until again, the preparation of or restoration of the Islam to the Muslim world was wrong. He argued that you could not restore Islam to the Arab world as long as Israel existed. At first, Israel should be destroyed, then the return of Islam to it, Islam will take place. Shkaki established a small organization, but his ideas certainly influenced younger activists among Muslim Brothers. In 1987, when the Palestinian uprising or Intifada broke out against Israel, the Muslim Brother leadership in Gaza decided that they should join the struggle, and then they established an armed wing of the Muslim Brothers, which they called Hamas. So Hamas was the armed wing of the Muslim Brothers. Hamas evolved as a political, nationalist, Islamist movement, which combined its ideology, not only return to Islam, but also Islamic Palestinian nationalism, introducing Islamic elements into Palestinian nationalism, such as sanctifying the land of Palestine, such as describing Palestine as almost the most important territory for the Muslim world. At the same time, Hamas, as an Islamic movement, as I mentioned before, framed the conflict as a religious conflict between Islam and Judaism, between Muslims and Jews. Framing the conflict as a religious one creates an unbridgeable dichotomy between absolute good and absolute evil. Hamas and other Islamic movements describe the conflict as one carried out between the party of God, Hizb-Allah, which are the Muslims or the Islamic movements, and the party of Satan, Hizb al-Shaitan, which are the Jews. Of course, if you describe the struggle as one between Satan and God, there can be no compromise, there can never be peace with Satan. As part of this framing, Hamas introduced or incorporated extremely strong anti-Semitic elements into its ideology, which borrowed both from early Islamic tradition, but also from European anti-Semitism. In this ideology, Hamas again takes elements or themes that existed in Islamic tradition against Jews, describing the Jews as killers of the Prophet, liars, deceivers, greedy people, etc., but also borrowing elements from West anti-Semitism, such as the argument that the Protocols of the Elders of Zion are a true document reflecting Jewish plans to take over the world, accusing the Jews of spreading corruption all over the world, accusing the Jews of fomenting wars and revolutions all over the world, accusing the Jews of dominating world finances, world media, and world academia, including another element which, for instance, denies the Holocaust or occasionally justifies the Holocaust. So Hamas here incorporated both traditional Islamic anti-Jewish elements and modern anti-Semitism. The conclusion which then Hamas reaches is that because the Jews had rebelled against Islam, because Jews have rebelled against their proper status as being a subject minority under Islamic rule, they forfeited their right to exist, and therefore they should be exterminated at the end. In addition, Hamas added, not only Hamas, also other Islamic movements, added an apocalyptic element to their anti-Semitism, hinging say human redemption by the elimination of the Jews, by citing an early tradition in Islam, which never had a central place in Islamic tradition, but now they brought it to center stage. They're describing that, arguing that the end of time will not come until that day when the Muslims will fight the Jews and kill them. This tradition is called the promise of the tree and the stone, Wa'ad al-Shajar wal-Hajar. According to this tradition, on that day, the Jews will flee. They will hide behind trees and stones. On that day, God will open the mouth of every tree and every stone, and they will say, O Muslim, O slave of God, there's a Jew behind me, come and kill him. Except for one tree, which is called the Gharqad, probably the salt bush. Tradition ends with the statement, look behind the Gharqad. Hamas and other Islamic movements took this tradition, placed it on central stage, quote it frequently, and for an example, Hamas preachers on Hamas TV in Gaza on Friday sermons explained that why do the Israelis plant so many trees in Israel? Because the Israelis know that this tradition is true, and they prepare the trees to hide behind them on that day when we'll kill them. That is, Hamas describes this future as something not as realistic and desirable, which is very different from other forms of anti-Semitism today in the West, which again try to hide their true intentions for the Jews.